please understand that we have to follow certain things under, the Federal Fair Housing Act, and we weren't allowed to have a big hearing and open it up. We've made the decision to buy the property.
What?
Now we're
Sandy?
You weren't allowed?
You did in Sandy. You had a public meeting before
Yeah.
the
You sent out
property was
notices to the neighborhood.
acquired.
Mr.
Right.
Lindsay, you do not allow them? You put out an RFP and you do not allow these people to communicate with us beforehand?
In fact, your Columbia Care website states they prefer not to communicate with communities.
So
it's great.
so this-
Specific about what we can allow and what we can't allow. We can talk in general terms. We can't talk about any individual diagnoses. We can't talk about any individual who may be there. We can't talk about any specific site, any specific identifying information that could enable someone to identify a specific person within that facility.
That's fine. Now,
That's
what
what
about
we
the
can't
site? She can't communicate to us about the fact that they're putting a site in our neighborhood.
Well, under fair,
So if we look at this from a fair housing perspective, individuals with other disabilities, you do not have the opportunity to know whether or not they're moving into your neighborhood.
This is true. There is the letter of the law. There's also the spirit of the law. And the law, as written, has a thing with regards to residential homes, and it has a thing with regard to residential treatment facilities. The residential home is 1 to 5. The treatment facility is 6 to 15. Okay? And in the law itself, it provides outs, shall we say, for reasonable accommodations. It also provides outs for people who might be a direct threat. Both of which those exceptions, which were put into the law by our federal government, have been negated by other laws that you guys have written. Effectively, you sort of trumped the Federal Fair Housing Act, okay? And so now you're calling a 15, now 8, bed facility a home. You're putting it in a single-family home, okay? Also, because you are running it as a group home, as a, since you're, shall we say, Columbia Care, there is no way that we could use the direct threat exclusion of the Federal Fair Housing Act because we aren't allowed to know who the heck they are. So the two exclusions, or the two opportunities that the law gives us, you've done an end around.
Actually, the law is the law. You spoke about the letter of the law and the intent of the law. What I said earlier was that we heard people's concerns. We are putting together, and we have hired staff to have earlier involvement with any facility that we're looking at in any community. That's the intent of the law. That's what we're doing to speak to you.
But we've also heard from Columbia Care on their website that they have experience at talking with the neighborhood ahead of time is counterproductive. Yeah, it's there. It's on the website, okay? So you've already got experience in the fact that neighborhoods don't react well. I have heard from Mary Claire, whatever, the fact that the Jackson County one was fought as well.
Yeah.
Okay? People weren't having that. We know for a fact that there was a lot of concern about the Sandy facility. By the way, folks, the information we have received to date, there's a lot of different reasons, but the reason they didn't want to put it in Sandy is that it's too far for the people to drive. Okay? That's what we've been told. Okay? But, so we've got this situation here it's not adding up.
Actually, what you have is a situation that is unease. It's an uneasiness for everyone. And that is the way that it is. That's why we're here, is to address that uneasiness.
But it's been going on for a long time
It doesn't
now.
mean that we're not going to continue.
The lack of transparency, you could have fixed that a long time ago.
Listen to what I'm saying. We cannot change what happened 2 years ago. I can tell you that where we're going from here, I can't change what happened 10 minutes ago, nor can you, about transparency. But what I can tell you is where we are going.
But you could have done this last year.
You're
We
right.
had a
We
meeting
could have
here in
done it 3 years
November
ago.
last year.
We could have done it whenever, but we didn't.
Why? Why
Because
didn't
honestly, what I said earlier, and maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't, we didn't have difficulties with siting facilities up until the last 2 years.
And when you had a group, 200 or 300 people here last November, Ms. Peterson was here, Ms. Tomei was here, okay? Mr. Bernard was here, a lot of people were here, and you heard the opposition of this community, the concerns of this community. and you went away. Now, you know, the city bought the property, okay? And then the next thing that happens is a lawsuit is filed, and the community is not informed that you guys are going forward after all. Well, you had an opportunity there. You said, we're going to cram it down their throats, but we're not going to tell you about it.
Once again, I can't change what happened in the past. I can only
Were
tell
you in
what-
charge at that point in time?
Of what?
Did you hold your position last year?
I absolutely did.
Okay, so I'm guessing you can't change what happened in the past.
I cannot. I can tell you what we've done and what we're going to do. I can't change what happened. I can't make that any different for you. I can't make that any different for anyone in this room.
What are you
But what I
going to
can,
do?
well, I think what we've said all along is what we're going to do. What we're hearing is that you don't want to accept what it is that we want to do. You don't want to accept the way that we want to do it.
No, we don't. We don't want you to.
You know, because you started off on the wrong foot. You have not had transparency with us. You have not given us the opportunity to work with you. Our city has offered to says, let us help find a more appropriate location. Refused. You know, let us do anything, you know, all we are hearing so far is we're going to do it. We're going to do it the best way we can. We do thank you very, very much for the fact that we went from 16 beds, 4 holding cells, crisis resolution center, etc. We've gone down now to an 8-bed, no crisis resolution, no
There are no
outpatient.
holding cells.
No holding
Stop. I'm
cells.
sorry.
That was the free
Yes,
application.
there was.
The free application had that. That was the, once again, because of lack of communication, that's what the information we
It
had.
was not in the plan.